Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena. With your hosts, Sophia Nelson, Bill O'Reilly, Brian Mistro, and TJ McCormick. It's real voices, raw politics, and no bullshit. Hi, everybody. This is Brian Mistro with the No Bull Political Arena. I'm here tonight with Bill O'Reilly and our good friend Sophia Nelson. And we've got quite a few things that we're going to touch on tonight. I have to tell you, Sophia, and it just came out a couple of hours ago, but the Supreme Court ruling with California and them not even taking up, don't even want to hear about it, about the redistricting in California. That doesn't speak well for the GOP going into midterms.
I'm admitted to the bar of the United States Supreme Court, and I was a little surprised because they have waded into some things that I think all of us thought they should not have.
Yes. Yeah.
And on an issue like this, there is a question, I think, constitutionally speaking, it's certainly within the purview of the 10th Amendment that the states can do what they want. However, whenever you're talking about voting, and I know you want to get into Voting Rights Act next, you're always dealing with that push and pull between federalism and the states and the constitutional right to vote, right? And everybody, one man, one vote concept. And then how much the states can limit that or not. In California, as you know, I like what they did in that they put it to a vote before the voters. And I think that's probably why the Supreme Court passed. Because once voters enact something on a referendum like that, what is the Supreme Court going to come in and say, oh, well, the voters of California are stupid and we're going to overturn them? They're not going to do that. That would be something for the state Supreme Court, right? But Virginia, as you know, is also in this, and they have the 10-1 map now, which is really bad for Republicans. I live in Virginia. I used to be a Republican. I'm now an independent. But the map that the Democrats are going to pass overwhelmingly is a 10-1 map. Means there's going to be one Republican member of Congress in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And right now, as we talk, there are 5.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
They're going to wipe those seats out.
Yeah.
And elections have consequences. I don't agree with that, by the way. I don't agree with what Texas did, what California did, or what Virginia is going to do.
Amen. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. None of them.
100%.
That's not right.
I think to your point, Sophia, I think for New York, though, I think that the Democrats will probably lose in that one because there was a referendum, just like you said, where the voters supported the current lines. Yep. So it's just the opposite, I think there. But yeah, it's not looking good this second.
Well, the Republicans, if I can just throw this into you guys, and I'd love your thoughts. I don't know. We're all former Republicans here. Let's just own it. Or you might still be one, Bill.
Conservative.
I'm trying to understand how they see any upside to what they are currently doing and how they have ceded control of Congress, how they started this redistricting war, how they continue to just jump off a cliff with the midterms, 8-9 months away.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand how this, like you said, Brian, at the intro, doesn't look good for them. I don't know what they're doing.
And Sophia, you know what happens when you get into a situation like this where it starts to snowball, then you start losing candidates. We've already lost a few in New York. The leading AG candidate stepped out. The candidate for governor stepped out.
They don't want to lose.
They don't want to lose.
You're right.
I want to pivot on that real quick because, as you alluded, I do want to ask about the VRA. And I think I've even said on the show at some previous shows, I'm not surprised by the Supreme Court ruling this way. I'm not at all, especially because this particular Supreme Court is really pro-federalism. I mean, they're big on state rights. It's just, we've seen that with how they've done and how they've voted with the 2A, okay, with Second Amendments, Washington State, Illinois, and other states, and upholding what the states passed. So that doesn't shock me. My question is, does this give us any view into how they might vote for the VRA? For those that are watching our show and you don't know, that's the Voting Rights Act. And so that is before the Supreme Court. I would have thought they would have already voted on it by now, but or judgment, whatever, but they haven't done it. That's fine.
I think they're going to hold that one for a while because that's going to be a problem, whatever they do.
It's
And
100%.
I think that the Roberts Court has consistently eroded little bit by little bit the Voting Rights Act, the different sections, whether it was 5, we're now looking at 2. And I would encourage people to read it. I would encourage you to go back and watch the movie Selma. It is Black History Month. Watch the movie Selma. It's outstanding. And it is at the heart and soul of the Voting Rights Act, not just the Civil Rights Act, but Selma was about the vote, the right to vote. And so registering and all the things that the African American community in particular dealt with from the time the 15th Amendment was enacted by the radical Republicans of the 1860s all the way to fast forward now. You know, you guys know, like, I'm a history buff, and the last time we were on, I was talking about how Reagan signed the Martin Luther King bill. And in 1983, well, it was Gerald Ford, another Republican, that signed Black History Month into law. Lincoln freed the slaves. The radical Republicans do the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments, and man, what a difference, 150 years makes.
Yeah.
And so, going forward, though, my point is that I think that the court will continue to erode it in ways that make it, what's the right word? It's nuanced, right? I don't think they're going to come out and blatantly cut it because all hell would break loose, and they're not that dumb. But I think that what they will do is continue to either limit or erode or continue to try to say, well, we don't really need this anymore. And as we've talked about on our first show, if they were to say gut Section 2 altogether, Voting Rights Act, you will not see an African American elected below the Commonwealth of Virginia in the South for the next 30, 40 years. Like, that's how serious it is, because there's only 1 or 2 districts carved now in the the minority majority districts, right? And yet those populations in Louisiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, et cetera, are all 30, 40, 50% Black.
But they're gerrymandered.
Yeah, Virginia's only 25% Black, and we have 1 Black member we have 2 Black members of Congress now, and we're only 25%. Most of the big southern states only have 1. So it's going to be interesting.
It will be. Bill, your thoughts on that too, because I know we've talked about this several times on the show.
Sophia is an expert on this. You are truly one of the national experts on it. I'm not gonna weigh on it. Your take is educated.
Hey, Sophia, before we got on, we were chatting briefly about some big news that did not make our quick news, incidentally. Apologies because we got it out too quickly, but share, if you don't mind, what happened in Washington today?
Well, Jeff Bezos, as it had long been rumored, as you all know, bought the Washington Post some years ago, which I always thought was a mistake. An Amazon billionaire, a warehouse guy, retail guy, e-commerce guy buying the Washington Post never sat right with me. I'm old enough to have started my career as an author and a columnist at the Washington Post.
Which is, I didn't realize that.
My first byline was in the Washington Post in 1997. I was a young Republican committee counsel, and I wrote my first article about being a Black woman in law school at a very, very elite, very white law school at the time here in Virginia. And what that experience was like. And I've been writing for the Post up until this day. And so it was hard to see so many people that I've known over the last 30 years who've been everything from sports guys to, the bureau in Australia to Berlin to wherever. And they all lost their jobs today. They gutted the Washington Post. There's no local sports anymore. There's none of that. And the Washington Post, as you guys know, is the paper for Maryland, Virginia, and DC. It is our local paper. And I think that for a guy who's literally worth $1 trillion on paper, literally, for him to talk about budget cuts, the reason subscriptions fell, as you all will recall, is because of the position they took during the election on not endorsing anybody, which was the first time in the history of the Post they never did that. So this goes back, I think, to a bigger question that I'd love for us to get into. Jefferson talked about this a lot, as did all the founders, the importance of a free press. I'm no longer comfortable with a lot of things that I see. The president of the United States continually berating female reporters and calling them vile names and insulting them right there in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
And nobody says anything. The constant assaults on truth. You know, there are facts. There is truth. And when we all grew up with Walter Cronkite and Peter Jennings and, those guys and gals, there was a real understanding that we were hearing news. It wasn't about pundits and opinions and being filtered through somebody's political lens. It was just about the news. We don't even have that anymore. Nobody knows what to believe because there's so much shit being thrown up against the wall. I need my
alternative
bullshit.
facts. Alternative facts.
Yeah,
yes.
I was going to say that, but the news industry has done it to itself. I mean, it has. I agree with you, Sophia. I mean, I try and get both sides. I read the Times and the Journal, and everything in between, and the Washington Post. I'm a long subscriber, but I've gotten to the point where you can't trust any of the news outlets for what they choose to cover. Like everyone's just covering the stories that fit their narrative now. It's no longer the news like you talked about, Cronkite and Jarrell and, Howard K. Smith and the guys I grew up on. For the Washington Post, I spoke with a friend down there today, one of the reporters down there, and I've called down to a few friends over the month and say, hang in there and be encouraged. And they've all been upbeat. Not today.
Yeah, it's bad.
Today seemed like it's really bad.
Well, think about what the Washington Post means. I mean, it's Watergate. It's the Pentagon Papers. I would encourage everybody watching us to watch the movie with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks, where they play Ben Bradley and Katharine Graham, and this whole Watergate story. And Katharine Graham, that was her dad's paper. I mean, and after her husband had a nervous breakdown, she took it over. And she built that reputation, that paper, put it on the market because she had the brass and the gravitas to understand that the free press had a constitutional duty just as much as the Article 1 branch, the legislature, the Article 2, the executive, and the Article 3, the courts. And our journalists today are interested in book deals, celebrity, talking out of the side of their mouth. And it is absolutely universal. Bill is correct about this, but it is eroding democracy. The slogan of the Post is democracy dies in the dark. No, democracy dies in authoritarianism. Democracy died today at the Washington Post, because when you've got a major paper like that, all the photojournal is gone. Well, where are you getting pictures at? What are you going to show in your paper?
Yeah, the brain trust.
You have to wonder, guys, and I say this with all seriousness, when you look at this Epstein story, and I've been deeply affected by it as a woman, as I think most women are, but I need men to be affected by it. The abject depravity and violence.
Fathers and daughters who are affected by it.
Yes, the abject depravity and vileness of the things contained and the men associated with it who are rich and powerful, and the press is not covering this story. To Bill's point, this should be, if this were 1980, Ronald Reagan would have been run out of office. It would have been over. If it was Daddy Bush or W or Obama, or if it was Gerald Ford or Kennedy or Nixon, had the press found out about, not the press because they knew, had the people found out about Kennedy's whoring and womanizing, that would have been a problem back in the 1960s. We had a different compass. We had a different ethos as a country. Not that we were perfect and not that we weren't sinners, because we've always been that, but there's a tolerance now for filth and discord and disrespect that I don't understand. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know.
I think technology's got a lot to do with it. Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going to throw out one little interesting bit is so Katharine Graham, the owner of the Washington Post, owned a beautiful house about 2.5 miles from where I'm sitting. Just gorgeous, overlooking a lake. It had been owned by Yale University, and guess who owns it now?
Who?
Donald Trump.
Wow. I don't know.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it's just the world is full of ironies,
So I something else that we brought up in our news today, and I want to toss it out to to the two of you and to our audience. And I hate to put this in the chapter that starts off find out or elections have consequences, but farmers are in a mess right now. They have come out, and I'm quoting a New York Times article, and we're putting it up here for everybody that can see it. They are coming out in groups in unison and saying that the tariffs have significantly hurt what they're doing. They said not only have they run out of market to sell to, the inputs that are coming in just to do their business is unbearable. And so it's breaking farms across the country. Farmers voted 3-4 for Donald Trump. And so it makes you wonder, with this happening, why would they vote for him? Okay. And it does seem that some of that's breaking now. I'm not going to hold my breath, but why do you vote for him when he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do?
Well, he bailed them out. He bailed them out last time when they were losing money. He took billions in taxpayers' money and gave it to them. But I think they voted for him more for cultural reasons. I think cultural ethos in the Midwest and the rest of it. But it's no surprise. Everybody knows tariffs don't work. We learned that from history. I don't know why we have to go through this again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. And I think that TJ hit the nail on the head. This country in our 250th year, and I don't think it's by happenstance, is about to have a reckoning. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but we are in a mess on so many different levels. We've lost our way. We're not that shining city on the hill right now. We're just all over the place, and it's because the man who's leading us is that way. And so my concern is we should really talk about this election grab, the discussion about whether or not they will try to federalize or nationalize the elections. And if that happens, well, now we're in dark territory, because that just goes in the wrong direction in 50 different ways, and the consequences will be severe. Like, I think we'll actually start a civil war. We'll start shooting at each other at that point. I think it's bad.
And I just want to add, and I want you to continue, just so our audience knows, if you're watching this, Donald Trump yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, Sophia, back me up if it was the day before.
Day before yesterday.
Yeah, so he said that the federal government should federalize the elections in states. Specifically, I think he's focused on federal elections. But and so just so you know, when Sophia's talking about this is something that he has literally put out there, and it wasn't just a one-off. He's actually taken some press conferences and talked about it. Matter of fact, I think that's why he jumped on Collins too
she asked about the Epstein files. He gets nasty when that comes up.
Yeah, not a chance that moves, but it's scary that he brought it up. The thing is, Sophia, you talked about the 60s and the 70s. We grew up in the same years. And all those presidents, what would have happened when things are so tumultuous and uncertain? They would do the fireside chat or the talk with the country to get them prepared. I'm calling balls on and strikes on Trump. I'm deeply ambivalent. I hate the way he does business, but I like some of the policies. But one thing he does, there's no comfort in him for the country.
He's not an empathetic person.
We need a figure.
Yeah, he doesn't have that gene. He's never had it. He's never going to get it. It's just not in him. And this is where an Eleanor Roosevelt as first lady would have come in handy, or somebody somewhere that has that ability.
Or Reagan.
Right. So
the face of God, right.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. I think, though, this is important, Brian, though, because if you go back to what happened at the Fulton County, Georgia elections office, and you find out that the director of national intelligence is at the raid by the FBI and on the phone calling the president of the United States, who should not have anything to do with any raids the DOJ is involved in, especially around elections, in a 2020 election that he swears he won when everybody knows he lost. And I think what really bothers me is, why are we still litigating this? Like,
oh my gosh, yes.
You're fucking president right now. You don't know it? What's your problem? You want to go back and what are we going to do? Go back in a time machine and take you back to 2021 through 2025 and reinstall you? What are you talking about? Like,
in which case you wouldn't be able to be in now. So,
Yeah. Sophia, I'm 100%. I mean, why are we even relitigating this when he's lost literally every single case involved in it? Is it to make him feel better, or is there some other plan?
And Georgia, let's just be honest. let's be honest for a minute. I mean, I write for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Let's be honest. Governor Kemp and Georgia, before it flipped purple, thanks to Donald Trump, by the way, and there's 2 Democrat senators now, was as red can be. And if there was anybody that would have gone along with the find me 11,200 whatever votes, Raffensperger and those guys are all Republicans. Every last one of them.
Every one of them. Yep.
Jeff Duncan now, who's a good friend of mine, who used to be the lieutenant governor and a Republican, is now a damn Democrat running as a Democrat for governor, and probably has a good shot at getting the nomination, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And he has, my point is, Republicans didn't go along with this either. They didn't. They shut it down. They were like, dude, no, you lost.
And Arizona too, and other states, right? People stood up.
Yeah, and I want to say again, I have had the grace and pleasure to spend some time with Raffensperger. What a wonderful man, solid Christian. Anybody that thinks for one second he or his office was doing something funny has never met him.
No, that's not him.
His staff loves him.
Yeah.
His staff loves him. We were talking earlier, Bill, about how tariffs were affecting the farms. I think you had something you want to talk about too, in the stock market. And is that tariff related, or go ahead and share that?
Yeah, not really tariff related, but today seemed like NVIDIA and the AI sector took a real beating today. I didn't see the final numbers on how much it was down, but it was for a couple of reasons. The markets, I'm no economic expert. I'm reading the news of experts.
Sure.
And the feeling is the markets are beginning to realize just how much AI is going to affect other industries. And is
that positively or negatively?
Negatively.
It's okay.
It's gonna like we have, the ChatGPT or whichever one you use, Anthropic or Gemini. We have that. People are using it to say, what time is it? What should I have for lunch? What can I do? People are beginning to find out what this can really do. And it's going to replace a whole lot of industries. And that's part of it.
Oh my gosh.
The other thing is that some of the money's been all caught up into the AI sector for a couple of years now. Everyone's been throwing it into it. They're beginning to pull it out and invest it in other areas that have been ignored. And some of the AI people are worried that if they don't keep pushing forward quickly, they'll lose momentum and they won't get to where they need to go. So there's a lot of things going on AI wise and job wise that we should all pay attention to.
And I think that, and help me if I'm wrong, but didn't Elon Musk just close the deal yesterday for SpaceX and XAI?
Sure did.
And I remember reading some people writing about that, Bill, that were saying that one of the reasons they're doing that is because XAI was just hemorrhaging money. And I've heard that about a lot of the other AI organizations or companies, because the technology is just amazing what it can do, but they're not making any money at it, And
they're not really close yet, but it's still going to be replacing industries.
Yeah. And that makes sense that a lot of people are going to, we don't know what the effects are going to be out of it yet.
The problem with what you both said, and you're right, is that, again, the conflicts of interest, I can't even get into just how I've never seen grifting like this ever at this level in the open, broad daylight.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
The fact that the Saudis bought, was it the Saudis that bought the stuff?
No, UAE.
Yeah, okay, it was UAE. And, they're buying our chips and the Trump boys are all over. I mean, they're making billions of dollars. And like you said, the farmers are suicidal, literally broke, bankrupt, and the price, again, if you're a regular person and you got kids and family of 4 or 5 or 6, a can of coffee that cost you $3.99 in the summer, Folgers or Maxwell House, I'm talking about the cheap stuff, now costs you $9.99 for the same small can.
Yeah.
Like, that's a $6 tax on coffee. That a family that's on a budget can't do that.
100%. Totally agree. It's and it's affecting everybody, unless you're at that top 1 or 3%, I guess. And then it's the food costs are irrelevant. I'd like to finish out, if we can, on one last topic. And we've talked about this a couple of times. The funding for Department of Homeland Security. And we did share this in our quick news tonight. If anybody hasn't watched our 2 or 3 minute quick news, there's a lot of questions, and we brought this up last night, about whether or not they're going to be able to keep that CR going past 9 days, I think is what it has left. So I want to reemphasize for everybody, I'm going to get Sophia's take on this too. I don't see how they do this. People need to understand that the big, beautiful bill has already funded ICE, I think, for the next 5 years. But
no, ICE got pulled out. I thought it was already funded. You're right, in one of the bills, but the one that they were doing for next, they pulled it out.
That's the DHS continuing resolution.
Right.
What people don't understand though is the DHS isn't just ICE. It's the Coast Guard. It's FEMA. It is so many
Secret
other organizations. 100%. So I don't know how this is going to get worked out because the two sides, and this is something, Bill, you've said many times, is that the two sides seem to be more incentivized to make sure nothing happens and just let it go down. What do you think is going to happen here, Bill? Are we going to be able to get Democrats and Republicans to come together for the good of the country?
I think yes. I think, and I could be completely wrong, but I think Republicans have to get this done fast. They're in deep, deep trouble. It's my side. It's my party. I mean, I'm not a Republican. I'm a registered conservative. We have a conservative party in New York State, but I'm on the right side of the aisle. We're in deep trouble. We're in deep, deep, deep trouble. Yeah. And if the government shuts down over what's happened with ICE, every day is going to be a tax on the party.
100%. Yeah. What do you think?
Well,
Sophia,
I think what's interesting to your point is that I've again been watching some of the leadership, and I go back to the question I asked at the outset of our show, which is, what is the upside in this for the Republicans? I don't see it. I don't get.
I don't either. Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
And
if we can figure it out, certainly the guys that get paid the big bucks, the consultants and all, should be able to figure this out.
But it's always about owning the libs. It's always about the lib cards and the rest of it, and it's so juvenile, for God's sakes.
But that's another whole show we ought to do. But how we got here, I think we underestimate how much Trump's antics resonate with whole tens of millions of Americans who just feel like, I want to stick it up their butt. I hate them. I don't like these people. And he sticks it to them. And he's sticking it to you, boo. That's who's getting stuck. You.
And you're going to find out as the old find out comes. I know we're coming to the end of our time. Start with you, Sophia. Any last thoughts that you want to throw out? The audience, been a busy news day.
No, I just think that we all ought to be vigilant, and I'm concerned about the lack of engagement, the lack of interest, the lack of concern that every American should have right now. This is not a functioning, normal republic in the way all of us over 50 grew up with. Certainly if you're over 60 or 70, you grew up with this. And for our young people who already have anxiety, dysregulation, upset, emotional issues, suicide, depression, these kids are, and I'm talking about young adults having these issues since, the generation born after 9/11 henceforth, they're not equipped for any of this at all. And so you've got a very dysfunctional system right now that is only working for the very rich and the very wealthy and the very elite. And that's not the vast majority of this. That's not 95% of us. It's just not.
And I'm genuinely concerned it's going to get worse.
I think it is. It's going to get a lot worse, actually, before it gets better.
My final comment is here.
Yeah.
Here. Well said. Sophia, well said.
Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. It was a busy day. We appreciate your giving us a watch. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is completely free. You won't just watch this show and keep up to date on this show, but Hinge of History, which is running its promo right now, starts next week. You get the quick news, and we are launching another show this next week after that. So a lot happening here. Please sign up. It's on YouTube at No Bull Media Group. Leave us a comment on what you like and don't like. As you notice, we do reply to those and put them on the show. And make sure if you like it, give us a big thumbs up. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sophia. Thanks, Bill, for joining again tonight.
Stay warm.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. The No Bull Political Arena is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us and your host a follow.
Hey everybody, this is Sophia Nelson. Follow me at I am Sophia Nelson on every one of my social media platforms.
I'm Bill O'Reilly, and you can reach me at Twitter at WFBOR.
Hey, this is TJ. Follow me on X or Twitter at TJ McCormack.
This is Brian Mistro, and you can follow me on X at Brian_Mistro or follow along on Facebook at Brian.Mistro.
A Noble Media Group member.